Hello, good afternoon. Hello,
Good afternoon, sir.
good afternoon. Screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we'll be dealing with this unit as it is the last lecture of this unit. So there are different models actually we have studied in this and one more model which we are going to study in this unit. And just little bit of recall of these models, and then we'll move on to the last three concepts of this unit. So we have already seen what is linear model. So linear model, as we know, they just keep in remember that there is a linear combination of x1 and x2, where x1 and x2 are nothing but the two scalars or the vectors. A and B are the arbitrary scalar. And in the simplest case, we say that if f of x is a straight line, then we have to make an equation from f of x is equal to mx plus c, where c represents the intercept, m represents the slope. And if you go by the meaning, that means you're going to have the you have to learn the data related with m and c in order to find out the f of x. That was about the linear models. So in these linear models, we have seen least square methods. Then we have seen the equations under least square methods like line of best fit equation, least square regression lines. Then the second under linear models, we have seen multivariate regressions, that is nothing but the regression analysis. Then we have seen some of the feature selection, some of the steps in multivariate regressions, which includes feature selection, normalization of features, select loss function and hypothesis, and set the hypothesis parameters. Then fifth one, minimize the loss function, test the hypothesis function. Then there are some of the advantages of multivariate regressions as well as some of the disadvantages we have seen. Then we have seen regularized regression methods. Then we have seen the concept of regularization. Then we have also seen the residual sum of the squares under regularization techniques. Then the fourth one, least square regression for classification. Least square regression for classification. Then we have seen two plots by using two of the techniques. One is nothing but the least square technique, and the other one is a logistic regression technique. Then the second type of model, what we have seen is a distance-based models, which is completely based on the geometric models. So as far as the geometric models are concerned, there are different types of metrics that are used. That is Euclideans, Minkowski, Manhattan, and Mahalanobis, and under which we have seen the two types of distances which can be used. One is a Manhattan and the other one is a Euclidean. Obviously, it could be expressed with the neighbors and exemplars, and when exemplars comes, there are two types included into it. One is centroid and the other one is a metoid. As far as centroid is concerned, is nothing but the calculation of the arithmetic mean, which minimizes the squared Euclidean distance from all other points. Then we have seen the nearest neighbor classification. So already it is also said to be as instance-based learning or a non-generalization learning. There are two types of nearest neighbor classification. One is a KNN and the other one is a radius based neighbors classifier. So as far as KNN is concerned, it is about the K as an integer value specified by the user. Whereas in case of a radius, we have a fixed radius R for each training point, where R is the floating point value specified by the user. So the optimal choice is about KNN. And we know that the optimal choice for the value of k is highly data dependent. So normally if we if there is a noise, we are going to increase the value of the k, uh, as the larger value of the k suppresses the effects of the noise, and hence but it has an advantage of making the classification boundaries less distinct. So this is how the things are with the nearest neighbor classification. Here two things we have seen, that there are two ways the weights can be calculated as. When if you put a weights is equal to uniform, then you have a uniform weights to the each neighbor, and when you have a weights is equal to distance, then the weights proportional to the inverse of the distance from the query point. Then we have also seen the association rule mining. Association rule mining actually finds an interesting association and relationships among the larger set of the data points. So typical example of the association rule mining is a market-based analysis. So there are three definitions we have seen is support count, frequent item set, and association rule. As far as the rule evaluation metrics are concerned, there are few of the metrics that need to be studied. One is a support, that is S, support psi x plus y, that is total. Then we have a confidence C. Then we have a confidence, the x greater than or equal to y, which is equal to support of x, x unity of y divided by support of x. So this is how the values can be calculated. Then beyond those matrices, we have also seen two more matrices, that is a lift of I, and second is lift x greater than or equal to y, that is equal to the confidence of x greater than or equal to y divided by support of y. So these are the things that are been related with the association rule mining. It is very much useful in analyzing the data sets. The data is collected using barcode scanners in the supermarket. This is the best example of association rule mining. Such database consists of large number of transaction records, and we can keep the records of the customer on a single purchase, so the manager can come to know what kind of items he has been consistently purchasing, and then you can adjust the data according to the sale layouts, cross selling or promotion based on the statistics. That is what it is related with the association rule mining. Then we have seen tree based models. So decision tree is one of the important model that comes under tree based model. So obviously tree based model is nothing but which could be used to visually represent the decisions, or we can say that if then rules that are used to generate the predictions. That is what the decision tree is about. So we have already seen decision tree. Only one important point in this here is that key in this we are going to, in this method or this model, we are going to minimize the entropy. Then you have to measure the randomness within the data set and maximize the information gain. Thus actually reducing an entropy results in splitting of the given feature. So that will help you to split about the features. So obviously the value with the highest information gain and will then be compared with the other potential splits. So whichever will be having the highest information gain, that will be used at that particular node. So that is what the tree based models is. A tree can split or any numerical feature multiple times a different value threshold. So that will be helpful in handling the non-linear relationships as well. The second decision we need to make is stopping the splitting the tree. So when I need to stop the splitting of the tree, that is the most important point is that. Then we have seen some of the advantages, disadvantages of the tree based model, that is decision tree. These are some of the applications. So up till now we have seen such these amounts of points. Mostly we have seen the linear models, distance models. Then we have seen the tree models, then the mining rules. Now we'll be moving towards some of the different concepts like in probabilistic models. So after the distance models and after the decision tree like tree models, we are going to have another model that is called as a probabilistic model. So obviously the probability word itself comes into the picture. So it is totally based on the theory of probability, or I could say that the randomness of the data. When there is a randomness of the data, at that time you're going to have the probability concept. So the randomness plays a very important role in predicting the future events. That's what the probabilistic model is about. So it incorporates random variables and probability distributions. So obviously it is all about randomness. So the variables are going to be random variables. The distribution is going to be a probable distributions, and then we are going to have a model which could predict the future events. So while the deterministic model gives a single possible outcome for an event, सो अगर हम कंपेयर करें डिटर्मिनिस्टिक मॉडल जो कि नॉन प्रोबेबिलिस्ट में जाएगा और दूसरा है प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक मॉडल, at that time what we are going to have is that as far as deterministic model is concerned, we have a single possible outcome, but as far as the probabilistic model is concerned, it gives the probable distribution as a solution. It doesn't give you a particular output, so it gives you what are the probable solutions that could come out, है ना। ये दोनों में फर्क है डिटर्मिनिस्टिक और प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक मॉडल्स में। these models takes into account the fact that we really know everything about the situation. So हम ये ग्रहित पकड़ के चलते हैं कि मुझे सब कुछ मालूम है इसके बारे में, और फिर बाद में प्रोबेबिलिटी के ऊपर काम करते हैं, यानी कि जिसको हम बोलते हैं हाइपोथेसिस, यानी मुझे पता है ये ऐसा ऐसा होगा। अभी फॉर एग्जांपल इन समर देयर विल बी नो रेन, सो मोस्ट प्रोबेबली द आंसर वुड बी that there will be no rain. So based on that concept that I know about this situation, that it's a summer and there will be no rain, so accordingly the prediction will come into the picture. These models are nearly always an element of randomness to take into account. For example, life insurance is based on the fact we know that with certainty that we will die, but we don't know when. So that is what the thing is about the randomness. So we know that we are going to die, but we don't know when to die. So at that time, these probabilistic model can help you to find out this thing. Means they are not going to help you to find out when you're going to die, but that could be an example. These models can be a part of a deterministic or part random or part wholly random. So it could be a combination of a probabilistic plus deterministic, or it could be wholly a random kind of models. Then the second concept under which it comes is a normal distribution. So we have already seen this normal distribution. कहाँ पर याद है? जब हमने Gaussian distribution पढ़ाई की थी तब उसमें हमने normal distribution को भी पढ़ा था. So the point which you are going to study here is a normal distribution. That is the concept in statistics, and it is a backbone of our machine learning. So obviously we were actually studying on based on two types of distribution. One is a normal and the other one is a Gaussian. So a data scientist needs to know about the normal distribution when they work with linear models. As discovered by Carl Friedrich Gauss, normal distribution or the Gaussian distribution is a continuous probability distribution. So obviously it is dealing with the probability. So it's dealing with one of the probability concepts. Henceforth, we can say that the normal distribution or the Gaussian distribution is going to be under this continuous probability distribution. So it is a bell-shaped curve. ये भी हमने देखा था उस वक्त. That is symmetrical from the mean point of both the halves of the curve. ये भी देखा था. बिल्कुल एक bell-shaped curve था. So the formula we have seen that there is a probability density function for a normal distribution. We have seen that also. So f of x is equal to 1 upon root 2 pi e raised to minus of mu minus x whole bracket square upon 2 sigma square. The mean of the normal distribution is normally mu and the standard deviation is sigma. So we know that mu is a mean and psi is the sigma is the standard deviation. If x is a normal variable with mean mu and standard deviation sigma, then the standard normal variate will given as z equal to x minus mu, that is a normal variable minus mean value divided by standard deviation. The simplest case of a normal distribution is known as a standard normal distribution, expected to have mean value as 0 and sigma as 1. Kab lekin under standard. And it is described by this probability density function, that is PDF, is given by 1 upon root 2 pi e raised to minus z square by 2, where z lies between minus infinity to plus infinity. So this is how the normal distribution functions are about. So the PDF is gives you the relative likelihood, whereas CDF gives you the cumulative distribution function. That is only we can come from here. So on the left side, you have a PDF, that is a probability density function. And on the right side, you can see that there is a CDF, which we have calculated, that is psi of A, which is nothing but your CDF, that is a cumulative distribution function. In normal distribution, mean mu gives you the central value, while standard deviation psi gives you the spread around the mean. So why, when we calculate mean or when we calculate standard deviation of or apply on a particular data, actually what we achieve is very important. Just applying mean or applying any statistical parameter on your data is why we should apply is very much important. So actually the mean gives you the central value, है ना? यानी कि if normal distribution PDF is at the peak, then it will have a mean value, whereas the standard deviation will give you the spread around the mean, यानी mean के आसपास का जो डेटा है, क्या से कैसा स्प्रेड हुआ हुआ डेटा है, वो देगा आपको standard deviation. If you see that standard deviation is a large, then a sample have large spread. अगर उसका वैल्यू ज्यादा रहेगा तो भाई वो मीन के आसपास का डेटा भी ज्यादा रहेगा. If standard deviation is small, then the sample is distributed very closely around the mean. यानी कि बहुत सारा डेटा जो है वो मीन के आसपास ही है, इसका मतलब स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन कम है. दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड why we apply mean or why we apply any standard deviation. So the example here is to be noted here. It's a very nice example to understand how these things can go. Suppose if standard deviation is 0, all the sizes of fish is exactly the same and that of mu. You can see the spread of distribution is nothing but a straight vertical line. So standard deviation 0 है मतलब सीधा सीधा straight vertical line है. Correct. Second, when we increase the standard deviation, we can see the size of the fish varies around mean. Okay, few of them have got better, bigger, while few of them have shrunk. कुछ बड़े हो गए fish, कुछ छोटे हो गए. Whereas in case of 0 अगर standard deviation value है तो मतलब size उसका exactly fish का same है. लेकिन अगर standard deviation को value हमने बढ़ा दी तो आसपास के fish कुछ बड़े हो गए, कुछ shrink भी हो गए. Now, if you further increase the size of the standard deviation, you can notice that the variations of the fish size also increases. So variance of the fish size also increases. You also notice that the spread of the distribution is almost flat. So variance of the fish size also increases. यानी कि उनका जो variance है, यानी कुछ फिश बड़े हैं, कुछ फिश छोटे हैं, तो इनमें जो वेरिएशंस है कि भाई थोड़े बहुत ज्यादा बड़े होना, छोटा होना, इनमें जो वेरिएंस है वो भी बढ़ जाएगा. So this is how the standard deviation exactly from 0, if it is increased little bit and if it's further increased, we can see the result with the help of this example. In machine learning, data satisfying normal distribution is beneficial for model building. So normal distribution की जरूरत क्या है? Because ये बहुत helpful है आपको model building में. It makes math easier. Models like LDA, Gaussian naive Bayes, logistic regression, linear regression are explicitly calculated from the assumption that distribution is bivariate or multivariate normal. So normal distribution multivariate है या bivariate है, ये assume करके ही सारा calculation होता है. Also, sigmoid functions work most naturally and normally distributed data. Many natural phenomena in the world follow a long normal distribution, such as financial data and the forecasting data. So it's better to critically explore the data and check the underlying distribution for each variable before going to fit the model. So this is all about the normal distribution. Now, this is the concept which we have already seen. So under this, we have also seen there's a decision tree model. Tree model के अंदर जो था वो decision tree था, है ना? ट्री मॉडल के अंदर हमने डिसीजन ट्री पढ़ाई किया. तो अब ये प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक मॉडल के अंदर हमने जैसे नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन देखा, तो कौन सा क्लासिफायर आता है प्रोबेबिलिस्टिक मॉडल में? तो वो आता है नेव बेस्ड क्लासिफायर. So this naive Bayes classifier, we have already seen that it is based on the Bayes theorem. That means it is based on the probability theorem. This classifier actually used to discriminate different objects based on their certain features. So you can classify different objects based on certain features. So they are useful mostly for the classification task. That is also we have seen, and based on Bayes theorem. So we know Bayes theorem that probability A by B is equal to probability B by A into probability of A upon probability of B. So we already know what it is about. That is A's. We find the probability of A's happening given that B has occurred. So A is happening, B has occurred. Here B is the evidence, whereas A is the hypothesis because it is happening. And B is the evidence because it has happened. So the assumption made here is that the features are independent. That is, the presence of one particular feature does not affect the other, hence it is called as a naive. एक फीचर का प्रेजेंस दूसरे फीचर को अफेक्ट नहीं करता है, इसीलिए इसका नाम नेव बेस्ड क्लासिफायर है। नेव इसीलिए है क्योंकि द प्रेजेंस ऑफ वन पर्टिकुलर फीचर डज नॉट अफेक्ट द अदर फीचर। बेस इसीलिए है क्योंकि वो डिपेंड करता है बेस थ्योरम के ऊपर, है ना। और क्लासिफायर इसीलिए है क्योंकि वो क्लासिफिकेशन में सबसे ज्यादा इस्तेमाल होता है। सो दैट इज अबाउट द नेव बेस्ड क्लासिफायर। So this is what we have seen. PA by B means posterior probability of class A given the prediction B. Probability of B by A, likelihood, which is the probability of predictor given class. P of A, class prior probability, and P of B, predictor prior probability. So this is all about the Naves Bayes classifier. This is the algorithm, some algorithmic steps. This already we have seen, because what I have done is that I have taken those classifiers and regression methods back in unit 2 only, because I knew that this is going to be repeated in the coming units. So I have already taken this. The algorithms, so convert the data into frequency table, then create the likelihood table by finding the probabilities, and now using the Naive Bayesian equation to calculate posterior probability of each class. यानी कि पहले आप लाइक्लीहुड टेबल बना लेते हो और बाद में पोस्टेरियर प्रोबेबिलिटी फॉर ईच क्लास निकालते हो। द क्लास जिसमें हाईएस्ट पोस्टेरियर प्रोबेबिलिटी होगा वो होगा आपका आउटकम ऑफ द प्रेडिक्शन। It is mostly used in sentimental analysis, spam filtering, and recommendation systems. They are very fast and easy to implement, but their biggest disadvantage is that the requirement of the predictors to be independent. इनका एक एडवांटेज डिसएडवांटेज ये है कि इनके अंदर के जो प्रेडिक्टर्स है वो इंडिपेंडेंट है। हमने देखा ना, एक में चेंजेस हो गया तो दूसरे में चेंज होता नहीं है। So in most of the real life cases, the predictors are dependent. This hinders the performance of the classifier. So अगर रियल लाइफ केसेस में कोई प्रेडिक्टर्स अगर डिपेंडेंट हो गए तो उससे फिर क्लासिफायर का जो फीचर्स है वो कम हो सकता है, या यूं कहूं कि उसका असर कम हो सकता है उस क्लासिफायर का। So these are the pros. It is easy and fast to predict class of test data set. It will perform on multi-class predictions. When assumptions of independence hold, Naive Bayes classifier performs better compared to the models like logistic regression, and you need less training data. So ये less training data पे भी काम कर सकता है अच्छी तरह से। और ये जो Naive Bayes है ये हम लोग practicals में भी देखेंगे। When we'll be having 2 days session for only practicals, in that we'll be seeing the Naive Bayes classifier also, how it could be useful. Less training data पे भी ये काफी काम अच्छा कर सकता है। It performs well in case of categorical input variables compared to numerical variables. So वो जो variables होते हैं वो 2-3 टाइप्स के होते हैं, आप अच्छी तरह जानते हैं। कैटेगरी होता है, न्यूमेरिकल वेरिएबल्स होता है। So categorical के लिए ये बेटर करता है as compared to numerical variables. For numerical variable, normal distribution is assumed. So normal distribution कहाँ पर assume होता है? Numerical के लिए. That is a bell curve, which is a strong assumption. Then this is the cons. If categorical variable has a category that is in the test data set which is not observed in training, then the model will assign 0 probability and will be unable to make predictions. So अगर ऐसा हो जाए कि जो ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट में ऑब्जर्व नहीं हुआ है और वो टेस्ट डेटा सेट में ऑब्जर्व हो गया, तो फिर प्रेडिक्शन निकालना काफी मुश्किल हो जाएगा। Yani, see, what happens is that whenever you're going to give your application applies your algorithms on the training data set, it should exactly give your same kind of responses to the test data sets, right? But in categorical variable, अगर टेस्ट डेटा सेट में देखा जाए जिसमें नहीं है और वो ऑब्जर्व हो रहा है ट्रेनिंग में, तो अनेबल हो जाता है, वो उसको प्रेडिक्शन करना मुश्किल हो जाता है। This is often known as a zero frequency. To solve this, we can use smoothing techniques. One of the simplest smoothing technique is Laplace estimation. So अगर इस चीज को निकालना है तो आपको थोड़ा प्री प्रोसेसिंग में काम करना पड़ेगा, जहां पर आप स्मूथिंग टेक्निक्स को लगा सकते हैं। On the other side, Naive Bayes is also known as a bad estimator. So the probability outputs from product are not to be taken too seriously. Sometimes it gives a bad estimation also. So that is the drawback. Another limitation of naive Bayes is the assumption of the independent predictors. In real life, it is almost impossible to set the predictor which is completely independent. हम इमेजिन करके चलते हैं कि आपका नैव बेस इंडिपेंडेंट प्रेडिक्टर्स पे काम करता है, लेकिन रियल लाइफ में ऐसा जरूरी नहीं कि सारे जो चीजें हैं, जो रिलेशनशिप है वो इंडिपेंडेंट रहेगी. वो कहीं ना कहीं अगर डिपेंडेंट आ गया तो नेव बेस को क्लासिफाई करना फिर मुश्किल हो जाता है. सो इस तरह से नेव बेस क्लासिफायर्स भी काम कर सकता है. दिस इज हाउ द प्रोज एंड कॉन्स ऑफ नेव बेस क्लासिफायर्स आर देयर. Now next question is, so when I should use the naive Bayes classifier algorithm, मैंने कब इस्तेमाल करना है? So there are three ways we can use the naive Bayes classifier. If you have a moderate or large training data set, if the instances have several attributes classes, given the classification parameter attributes that describes the instances should be conditionally independent. So तभी काम करेगा ये, क्योंकि अगर एट्रीब्यूट इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है तो ही बेस्ट काम करेगा. अगर वो डिपेंडेंट हो गए तो नेव बेस का मुश्किल हो जाएगा डिपेंडेंसी पे करना. So obviously the attribute plays a very important role, whether they are dependent or independent. These are conditionally independent. So this is how the naive Bayes classifier works out. Now this is the last point as far as this unit is concerned, which is a discriminative learning with maximum likelihood. So in order to understand this discriminative learning, जो discriminate करने के लिए यूज होगा आपका रिजल्ट. Suppose there are different classes and if you want to discriminate one class from the other class, then you have one more method called as maximum likelihood. So let us see how it works. The discriminative machine learning is to recognize the rig output among possible output choices. Obviously, you're going to choose one of the best results from lot of results. Best choices में से एक perfect choice निकालना. Given something about the data and done by learning parameters that maximizes the joint probability. So this discriminative machine learning is actually based on maximizing the joint probability, that is P of X of Y. The discriminative modeling solve classification. Again, it can be useful for classification. It have advantages of being more robust to the outliers. So outliers को देखा जाए तो वो robust है, यानी कि वो आउटलायर्स के अंदर गिरता नहीं है, यानी आउटलायर्स अगर आ गए तो वो इमीडिएटली वो उनको हटा देगा. It tends to model the joint probability of data point and can create new instances using probability estimates and maximum likelihood. So joint probability जैसे पिक्चर में आ जाता है, नए इंस्टेंसेस के लिए ये एस्टिमेट कर सकता है बेस्ड ऑन प्रोबेबिलिटी एंड मैक्सिमम लाइक्लीहुड. Discriminative model refers to a class of model used in statistical classification, especially in supervised machine learning algorithms. So वहां पर ये discriminative modeling use हो सकता है क्योंकि ये statistical classification के लिए use होता है. So especially in supervised machine learning, we intend to find the parameters of the model that maximizes the likelihood of the model to produce observed result. So यहाँ पर जो likelihood है वो maximize करना है. Likelihood means what is the likely output that is to be coming here, है ना? What is the suppose if I say that I may the rain may likely occur tomorrow. When I say it is maximum, it is called maximum likelihood. That is how it is. You take by word, you will understand the meaning of that also. So when I say that you have maximizing that likelihood, that means you will produce the observed value. The maximum likelihood in our case will find the values of mean and standard deviation that gives the best curve that describes the data. So maximum likelihood कैलकुलेट करने के लिए आप कुछ स्टैटिस्टिकल पैरामीटर्स का इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. तो उन्होंने जैसे बताया कि यहाँ पर मीन और स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन ऐसे दो पैरामीटर्स है जो कि मैक्सिमम लाइक्लीहुड को निकालने के लिए फायदेमंद हो सकते हैं, यूज कर सकते हैं उसके अंदर. We create two models to predict the presence of cancer. अब एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं कि कैसे मैक्सिमम लाइक्लीहुड काम करता है. So we are going to predict we are going to have two models to predict the presence of cancer. Model 1 include features. So pehle features rahega age of the person, family history of the cancer. Then model 2 hoga features like whether person smokes, what is the age of that person, family history of the cancer, stress level, etc. So we are creating two models. Obviously, we are going to find out the presence of cancer, whether it's there or not. So we have created two models. The first model will be features, which includes about the age and family history. And the second, whether person smokes, age or stress level, all those things. So now both models are minimized and give the objective function value. How do we decide which model is better? So दोनों models में कौन सा better है, कौन सा predict ज़्यादा करेगा, तो इस ये कैसा तय करेंगे हम? So the best model is the one that maximizes the likelihood function, जैसे मैंने बताया, the model that will produce most of the observed values. So how it can be calculated with the help of likelihood ratio. So how that ratio is calculated as -2 into log of n, likelihood for null model divided by likelihood for the alternative model. So अभी इन दोनों में कौन से मॉडल नल है और कौन सा मॉडल अल्टरनेटिव है ना? सो हमको ये देखना है. Likelihood ratio uses log likelihood function, compares the fit of the two models. So it is going to find out which model is the fit model. So model 1 is a null model and model 2 is our alternate model. So you can see that the features, if we compare model 1 में की कुछ features model 2 में भी है, so model 2 हमारा alternative बनेगा और model 1 आपका null model मिलेगा. The null hypothesis in our case states that smaller model 1 gives the best fit. ये देखा गया है कि उसमें कम फीचर्स होने के बावजूद स्मॉलर मॉडल है लेकिन वो बेस्ट फिट होता है. When the above ratio is large, we reject the model in null hypothesis and the alternative model is best fit. लेकिन अगर likelihood ratio का वैल्यू ज्यादा आ गया तो ऑब्वियसली कौन काम कर रहा है? ऑब्वियसली हमारा जो काम कर रहा है वो कर रहा है alternative model. So depending upon value, we are going to see that when the ratio is small, we accept the model suggested in null hypothesis and the model is the best fit. So ratio किस तरह का है उस हिसाब से आप model 1 या model 2 को accept कर सकते हैं. So I do feel so this is how we have finished unit number 5. Okay. We'll go with the attendance. Roll number 1,
Present, sir.
2,
Present, sir.
3, 4,
Yes, sir.
5, 6,
Yes, sir.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
9 present.
9 is present, 12, 13, 14,
Present, sir.
15, 16,
Yes, sir.
okay, 17, 18, 19, 20,
Present, sir.
21,
Present, sir.
22, 23,
Present, sir.
24,
Present, sir.
25,
Present, sir.
26, 27, 28,
Present, sir.
29, 30,
Yes, sir.
31, 32,
Yes, sir.
33,
Present, sir.
34, 35,
Present, sir.
36,
Present, sir.
37, 38,
Present, sir.
39, 40,
Present, sir.
41,
Present, sir.
42, 43,
Present, sir.
44, 45,
Present, sir.
46,
Yes, sir.
47,
Present, sir.
48, 49,
Present.
48 is there. Okay, 49, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 54, 55,
Yes, sir.
56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61,
Yes, sir.
62, 63, 64,
Present.
65,
Present.
66,
Yes, sir.
67,
Present, sir.
68, 69, 70,
Yes, sir.
71, 72.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any number
Sir.
missing out?
62. 53.
Huh?
15. Sir,
16
62.
is there. 62. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, 15.
15 आहे.
53, sir.
53 पण आहे. Any number? Okay. We'll go with the B. 1, 2, 3,
Present, sir.
4,
Yes, sir.
5,
Present.
6,
Present.
7, 8, 9,
Present.
10, 11,
Present.
12, 13,
Present, sir.
14, 15,
Present.
16,
Present.
17, 18,
Present.
19,
Present.
20,
Present.
21, 22,
Present.
23,
Present.
24,
Present.
25, 26, 27,
Present.
28, 29, okay, 29, 30,
Present.
31,
Present.
32,
Yes, sir.
33,
Present, sir.
34, 35,
Present.
36,
Present, sir.
37,
Present.
38, 39, 40,
Present, sir.
50,
Sir.
51, 59, 61,
Present, sir. 59.
61, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Any number missing out? Huh?
67.
67.
39,
Six-
sir.
39 present. Okay. 63 present.
67 present.
61.
68, 67, 61. Or
18.
18 is there.
2.
2 is there. 15 is there.
50, sir. 50.
50, 50 is there.
B 63.
63 is there.
6, sir.
Hmm?
B 26.
26 is also there.
46, sir. B.
B 46 is also 46 का?
हाँ सर. Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
69.
Hmm?
69.
69 is there, no problem. Okay, we'll stop here. I will post the notes by link through link. So please get that notes link. Okay. And in the next lecture, we'll be having the your MCQ test. Okay. We'll stop here.